Alright, welcome back to the channel. You can see here I bought another 911 Coupe 996.1. This is a 1999 Carrera 2, pretty much a base model, 6-speed manual. And I just could not resist when it came up for sale on Craigslist. You can see it's got a pretty nice interior, just all black. The issue with this car was it was burning coolant. So white smoke coming out of the exhaust. It had gotten diagnosed. The mechanic said it was either a head gasket, could be a cracked cylinder liner, could be a cracked cylinder head. After starting it up, I took it for a quick drive in front of their house. So at this point, the car now had been sitting for a couple months and I was not really getting around to working on it. I actually had the idea to just sell it. But then I decided to take it to the school where I teach and use it as part of a class. And this is because I really did want to know what was wrong with this car. I wanted to know, was it the head gasket? Was it a cracked cylinder head? What was causing it to burn coolant? We were off to a strong start with no metal shavings in the oil. There was some hope for this engine. And just to give some background, this is a new program at our high school that I started maybe 2 or 3 years ago where students get it's more of an exposure course to auto mechanics. So if they like the class, there's an opportunity for them to go on and do a year-long class in auto mechanics or auto body at the district's tech school. Alright, so our first big step or obstacle was removing the engine from the car. Two challenging parts were getting the clutch slave bolt and the air conditioning bolts out. It took our class about 10 days to get the engine out. After we got the engine out, we had to remove the exhaust system from the engine because on the 911 it's all bolted to the engine. They're working on some rusty bolts here. And action, okay.
So right now, guys, we're breaking the training bolts.
All the bolts off.
Yeah?
One of them snapped.
One of them snapped, that's okay.
Oh, two.
All right, we got the transmission loose here.
Clutch.
Look at all that gum.
Now that we had the engine out of the car and we had removed the exhaust, our goal was to get the cylinder heads off so we could see inside the engine and see the cylinder walls and the cylinder heads to see if we could find any damage that was causing the engine to burn coolant and cause the white smoke.
Yeah, it
Okay.
actually looks really good for burning coolant.
In this next section, you'll see students looking at spark plugs, and also we do a compression test. This is the part of class where we're doing some diagnostics to try and figure out what the problem is before we actually take the cylinder head off and find the problem.
That's already worse.
And that's bad.
Cylinders, I think. Oh, freaking dope, dude.
Which one?
The back driver's side.
How do you know? Because it's all burnt?
Yeah.
looking?
Cylinder side rear.
I still think Porsches are the best car ever made.
Why is it? It's like chunky.
Yeah.
You want to start with the best one or the worst one? Chances of hope, or
Show them.
start out with.
Let's start with the best one.
sadness?
At this point, we're using a borescope camera to peek down through the spark plug holes into the cylinders to see if we can see any damage to the cylinder liners. Cylinder walls look okay from what I can see. All right, we're doing our first compression test here. Okay. Yeah.
165-ish.
The compression test is a simple pressure test. And you basically hook a pressure gauge up to the spark plug hole and turn the engine over so the piston goes up and down. And you can get an idea of if that cylinder is tight, airtight, through doing a compression test.
Doesn't take a ton.
Can you work on?
It's fun. We're having a good time. Students are now removing all the parts on top of the engine so we can get down to the cylinder heads and remove those. Did it come free? Just took the oil pump off. We took that off, why? We're now rotating the engine on the engine stand so that we can have one of the cylinder heads facing up so it's easier to work on. Let it sit under there. That's power steering. In this clip you can see that one of the students is removing the bolts that hold the valve cover on. All right, so come look in here, y'all. With the valve cover removed, we're now being able to see some of the internal guts of this engine for the first time here. We can see the timing chain and the cams.
So this is 1, 2, 3. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yep.
All throughout this process, students were super careful to carefully mark where parts went before removing them. At this point, we're about 15 days into the class. There's only about 1 day left. So that class ended, and we got a new group of students who are now about to pull off the cylinder head here. Just put on the cardboard here.
Wow.
Finally, we have arrived at the moment of truth where we get to see what is actually going on in this engine by being able to see inside the cylinder with the cylinder heads off.
Oh.
What?
That's a bad crack. That is unfortunate.
Uh-oh.
That is so.
So what is the cylinder again?
That is rough.
Oh.
As the picture is showing here, we did find a pretty bad crack. They went through the cylinder liner in cylinder 3. Holy crap.
If we don't do a swap, is there any way that we can fix this?
Not really. At this point, I called LN Engineering to see how much it would cost for them to repair this engine damage. They are the go-to specialists for this repair. And I have a cracked cylinder liner. Have you ever gotten a call like this before? I'm just kidding. I know you guys are like the go-to people for this. Do you know about how much that service runs? If I would just stay 3.4 liter displacement?
Yeah, so it'd be about 7,000.
What's frustrating to me is like this has been an issue for like 10 years. And there's still not like an affordable way to fix the engine, you know? Mm-hmm. I thought I might get lucky. I thought it might be a head gasket or a cracked cylinder head, but that was not the case. It was a cracked cylinder liner, and that's a bummer. But it's going to a guy who's got a brilliant idea on how to fix this thing in a really budget-friendly way. Yeah, the last couple hours here with the 911, it's been so fun to have in the shop, and the kids have had a blast working on it. You know, for me, it's just been cool to have in here. It's such a nice looking car, and the kids just got a kick out of it, you know, sitting in it and working on it. They had a blast, and I had a lot of fun too. They did all the work. They did, you know, they pulled the engine out and they pulled it apart, pulled the cylinder heads off. I was just here to advise and answer questions and make sure that bolts didn't get lost and that bolts didn't get, you know, threaded in wrong or stripped, things like that. It was educational for me as well because I have not worked on really these 996 engines. I have not taken the cylinder heads off, so that was all new for me. You're gonna put a Boxster engine in it?
Oh,
It's working.
what are you going to do with this car? Yep. Put a 3.2 in there and make it run.
All right, it's sad to see that one go, but we already have a new project lined up, and it's going to be quite exciting, I think. It's a Ford Ranger, and it's a truck that someone else had converted to electric, but it needs new batteries. Everything else is in pretty good shape. And again, shout out to Jimmy from EV Swap Conversions for helping me tow this truck up to the high school this weekend.